Welcome to the Spy Collection. Here is Anastasios, and in this episode we'll cover one more of the allegedly leaked US intelligence community documents from 2023. It's this. We have partially reconstructed it to be easier to present and navigate through it. Of course, we cannot comment on its authenticity, but we'll use it as an educational tool for anyone interested in modern military intelligence. As we read, it was from March 1st, 2023, and it was part of US military's CJCS, or Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, Daily Operations Update for Russia and Ukraine. D+370 indicates that this was an update for the events 370 days after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Notice that the title mentions J3, J4, and J5. Those are referring to the typical NATO military structures departments. So in plain English, here it says that this is a daily update from the Joint Chief of Staff covering J3, that's operations, J4, which is logistics, and J5, which is strategy, plans, and policy. From left to right, we have the orders and decisions where there was no change in the last 24 hours. Following that, we have an update of any significant activities or Commander's Critical Information Requirements, the CCIRs, of the last 24 hours with some activities. In the middle, we have the supportive map. Don't worry about the numbers, we'll go through them in a little bit. What was particularly interesting with this leak, assuming it's real, is the second box, which tells us that on Ukrainian soil there were Special Operations Forces from the United States, Great Britain, France, Latvia, and the Netherlands. And in the third box, we read that apart from the soft units inside Ukraine, there was also a strong US diplomatic presence. Specifically, 71 from the State Department and 29 from the Department of Defense, including Defense Attaché Office, Office of Defense Cooperation, SOF officials, and Marine Security Guard Security Augmentation Unit. Those are almost certainly personnel of the US government's embassy in Ukraine. Now we have the US composition and disposition for US European Command's area of responsibility. Note this small green indicator on the left of this title. This is a quick way for the briefers to let the military leaders know that there are no issues in this category. Then we read that on the naval side, the US had 17 surface ships with a detailed breakdown, as well as 5 submarines, specifically 4 nuclear-powered general-purpose attack subs and a nuclear-powered submarine able to carry and launch guided missiles, an SSGN. Once again, prior to this leak, that was an assumption, but no one could confidently state what submarines the US had operating in that region. Next, we have the Air Force update, where it says that 9 fighter jets are in the region, as well as 4 B-52 bombers of the 23rd Expeditionary Bomb Squadron's Bomber Task Force, which is based in Spain, as well as the 12th Combat Aviation Brigade and the Combat Aviation Brigade, 1st Armored Division, based in Germany. On the land warfare side, the US Army 5th Corps was there, along with the 4th Infantry Division and the 101st Airborne Division, as well as 5 more US Army Brigade combat teams. Then we have an update on the composition and disposition changes in the next 3 days. And we move on to the activities of the last 24 hours. Notice again the green indicator showing that there were no major issues. Remember those numbers in the map? Here is where we'll get what they actually mean. Here are the updates on the maritime domain. And then we move to the domain of air, where it's more interesting for our content since we have several SROs, basically spy planes to gather intelligence on Ukrainian and Russian forces. We also see here that there was a combination of multiple manned and unmanned flights daily to ensure the monitoring of multiple locations as continuously as possible. Number 3 is about Operation Atlas Guardian. And the updates continue here. It starts with a US military entity that we had also covered before, the Special Assistance Group Ukraine, and it was conducting bilateral training with partner nations supporting key Ukrainian efforts. Then we have the updates of the 5th Corps, which was conducting training with Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria to deter Russia. And we have a summary of all the training activities happening to prepare Ukrainian armed forces to fight Russia. As we read, those were primarily in Germany, but there were also a few in the US, France, and the Netherlands. Feel free to pause the video if you'd like to study the exact trainings, dates, and locations. Naturally, after the activities of the last 24 hours, come the activities of the upcoming 24 to 48 hours. We will not go through each one of them, feel free to read them on your own. They are very similar to the one we already discussed. So far, everything was green in terms of the activities, but all of that was J3 updates, meaning military operations. Here we have J5, which is red. J5 was planning some key engagements in early March and April of 2023. One related to our content is the first one. On March 2nd, the CJCS was planning a bilateral activity with the Italian Chief of Defense, Minister of Defense, and their SIGINT agency, the equivalent of DoD's NSA, to take place in Rome, Italy. The last update of this highly informative daily report was from the logistics, the J4. This was also red. It details the status of GMLRS, 155 rounds, and PDA deliveries in Ukraine. Feel free to pause the video if you'd like to read the update in more detail. And this was our today's artifact, a view into secret military activities and how those are communicated to the highest ranks of the US military. Additionally, we saw among others how spy planes are part of those operations, that NATO countries have special operators conducting missions inside Ukraine, and more. All of that is part of a shadowy world, rarely visible to most people, which is why nothing is as it seems.